Welcome everybody to Airbrush Artistry's first video. My name is Douglas Hartman, and I'm glad you're here tonight to help me get through my YouTube jitters on my first video. Anyway, super excited for you guys to be here. I'm just going to do an introductory video of what kind of art I'm going to have on my channel. Real quick, the kind of supplies that I use, why I got the supplies that I have, and the driving force behind why I made the purchases I did. And anyway, so let's get into it. What kind of art do I do? Well, let me tell you something. Don't let anybody else know, but I've got an inner geek in me. Okay, there, I said it. I love Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, I started playing D&D. Well, I've got a touch of gray going on here, so you know I'm not a spring chicken. All right. My first set was the blue box set. So I'm 55 almost, okay? And so I started playing D&D late elementary, early junior high school, to give you an idea. And I got into it again, you know, after a long layoff. And I love fantasy art. And so why am I doing this channel? The honest to God truth is I got sick and tired of sitting on my butt watching YouTube videos of other people doing artwork when I have an airbrush station down in my garage. Now that really sounds counterintuitive. I don't want you to stop watching this video or other videos that I do, but I want you to do some more artwork too. If you're, you know, I'm sure there's quite a few artists out there that haven't done any artwork lately, and that's kind of like where I'm at. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to get off my butt and do some more artwork. And I love fantasy artwork. So I'm not gonna do any kind of, you know, hot supermodel portraits and stuff like that. There may be some hot, sexy tiefling warlock portraits though. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, like right now, I'm running a group of guys through Curse of Strahd. And so there's going to be some vampire artwork coming up. There's going to be some Babala Saga, some more Gantha, Night Hag stuff, some creepy stuff. And there's going to be some, you know, I'll do some miniature stuff too, painting. And by the way, if you are doing miniatures and you're painting your miniatures and you're using an airbrush and you're thinking to yourself, what else can I do with this thing besides throw it at the cat? You know, that's kind of counterintuitive, but you know what? Do some airbrush artwork on t-shirts. Christmas is right around the corner to make great gifts for your nerdy friends, okay? So we can geek out together. It's going to be great. So real quick, the most important thing that I did before I got into doing airbrush work was research. Before I go any further, shout out to my beautiful wife, Melanie. She's the reason I got into airbrush work. One day she was checking out Pinterest and she said, hey babe, have you ever, you know, thought about doing any airbrush work? Because I would draw and I do some oil painting and stuff. She said, airbrush work. No offense, okay, but the first thing back then when I thought of airbrush work was pink flamingo t-shirts, a beach scene from Panama City Beach, Florida. Not my style. And then she shows me all these cool pictures on Pinterest of these flames and skulls and death and blah, 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 you know. And I was like, wow, that looks really cool. Research. I got online and I got into some airbrush forums and I looked up reviews on different types of airbrushes, the different brands of airbrushes, what kind of compressors people were using, okay? Really important. I know how I am as an artist, okay? When I start doing something, you know, I'll do it for 7 or 8 hours at a stretch. And so I needed to take that in consideration of what kind of compressor I was going to get. I'm also a homeowner. And the reality is having a compressor around is a real handy thing. Besides doing airbrush work, you got a car tire that's flat, you know, you can hook up your air compressor, fill it up. Kids swimming, inflatable swimming pools during the summer, use your air compressor to fill it on up. And, you know, you can also use it for airbrushing, obviously. Anyway, I did research, a lot of research. And I wanted something that was going to be very versatile at first, but I had a limited budget, and I wanted to get a good air compressor, and then maybe a so-so airbrush at first, and then bump up my airbrushes later on. And so the air compressor that I use is this guy right here, California Airs, man. Super quiet. It's got a tank on it, so it runs, fills up the tank with air, then the compressor shuts off. So the motor lasts longer. I've had this thing for maybe almost 10 years now. Not a single problem with it at all. It's wonderful, okay? Airbrushes. Like I said, I decided on getting a kind of a middle tier airbrush. Do yourself a favor. Don't go on Amazon and get into some obsessive compulsive purchases without doing any research, okay? The very first airbrush I got was this guy right here, Pache Talon. The reason why? Because it's very versatile. It came with 3 needle and nozzle sets, 0.28, 0.38, and a 0.66. Nowadays, you can also get it in a 0.2 needle and nozzle setup and a 1.0, if I'm not mistaken. I still use this guy today. What do I use it for now? It also came with a fan pattern nozzle cap. Okay, so instead of spraying a cone-shaped paint pattern, bam, it sprays a fan pattern. And I use this for when I prep my t-shirts. I use Createx Colors transparent base. Just like if you're painting a miniature, you have to prep it before you do any artwork to it. Same thing with a t-shirt. You wash it, you dry it, put it on your board, stretched out, blase, blase, blase. Well, a t-shirt has got, they call it nap. It's kind of fuzzy, right? So you put some transparent base over it, then you heat set it. Heat set. You can use an iron. You don't need to use one of those, little compressor machines, a heat set. I have one, but I used to use an iron. And it flattens the nap down, makes the surface nice and smooth for your artwork to go on a lot better. And I also use this guy when I'm done doing artwork on a t-shirt. I put a top coat on it. It's almost like an automotive clear coat in a sense, but it's for t-shirts and stuff. And same thing, heat set it. It helps the artwork last longer. Okay. Then I wanted a more detailed airbrush. Did more research. Next airbrush I got was this guy right here, Harden Steinbeck. Again, an extremely versatile airbrush. This is the Evolution CR Plus, okay? You can get these guys in a 0.15, 0.2, 0.4, and a 0.6 millimeter needle nozzle setup. You don't have to buy multiple airbrushes. You can buy one airbrush. You can get all those needle and nozzle sizes separate. The paint cup unscrews. You have different size paint cups for it. It's made in Germany, and the build quality of these guys is extremely awesome. Great airbrush. I love it. One thing I learned is with a detail airbrush, you've got to get your paint viscosity really thin, or else you're going to have a lot of problems. It can be frustrating if you're trying to spray thicker paint through a 0.15 millimeter needle nozzle setup. It's real frustrating. So I learned a lot about thinning my paints down to get a smoother flow of paint. Okay. So this guy here, I also have the Evolution Solo. Okay. A little bit difference between the CR Plus and the Solo. The Solo has a different nozzle on it. Okay. It allows less airflow to come out. Therefore, you're able to, when you get up close with the and do detail, there's less air turbulence. Because that's the easiest way for me to describe it. So I use the the 0.15 millimeter needle nozzle set up in this guy here. In my CR Plus, I use the 0.2. Okay. Next airbrush I have, a Wada HPC Plus workhorse baby. It has a 0.3 millimeter needle and nozzle setup. Again, you can still, you get it nice and close, thin your paints down. You can still get really, really fine detail with these guys. It's got a nice, a decent sized paint cup if you're doing a larger work surface. It's a workhorse, man. The build quality, it's an Wada. That says it all right there. They make excellent, excellent airbrushes. And by the way, in case you didn't know, Wada bought out Hard & Steinbeck quite some time ago. And then the creme de la creme, the Wada Takumi Micron. I got this guy from Drew Blair. It has his soft spring in the air valve and his shorter trigger. Literally all you have to do is lay your finger on top of the trigger, and the weight of your finger compresses a spring for air. It's nice. Side feed airbrush. Again, these unscrew. This is actually a Hard & Steinbeck paint cup. For some reason, I don't know why they did this, but they had the Takumis come with this really big paint cup, and it's a detail airbrush. Why they did that, I don't know. But you know what? I use a smaller one on this one here. You can switch these paint cups out on either side, ambidextrous. Beautiful, beautiful airbrush. The paints I use are from Createx. I use their illustration colors, their wicked colors, their wicked detail colors. I also have the water-based, the opaques and transparent colors. I also love using FW acrylic inks. Those are really, they flow really good. They're water-based, thin them down with some water, and they just spray really, really smooth. But anyway, like I said, this is just an introductory video. I'm going to get into more detail, more depth about each particular airbrush that I use, the compressor in my artwork. And until then, I appreciate you guys watching. It's just me, my Samsung Galaxy 22 Ultra, and my little magic wand here. So until next time, I'll see you later, guys. Have a great night.